What's up, bitches? It's Sharp from the Big Dick Bandits here to give you your weekly recap and weekly preview for next week. So here's what we're gonna do. Actually, before we start, it was a little bit cold outside today, so I've got to change. 1 sec. Sorry. There we go. Much better. All right, without further ado, let's get right to these games. So, right off the bat, we started off Tom Gregg in the Pearl Street division versus Sheck in Caroline Street. Tom absolutely kicked Sheck's ass. 146 to 105 was a pretty not close matchup at all. Tom, you had four players with 20 plus points: Ryan Fitzpatrick, Roddy White, Marcus Colston, and Marshawn Lynch, with a zero from Dennis Pitta. Goose egg. Nada. Wow. And if we look at these players, I think we can kind of analyze what's going on. Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard, has a pretty sweet beard, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions also. 4 interceptions also, so that's a little bit worrisome, but besides that, he's a stand-up guy. And also, you also have some of the bottom of the barrel players. Marshawn Lynch, he loves to get Skittles not thrown at him. They get thrown at him by the Seahawks crowd. But also, he loves to eat Skittles after scoring a touchdown. What the fuck was his childhood like? I think we can all imagine I was probably his teacher. That being said, Sheck, you had Matty Ice with 28 points, but 4 players in single digits. Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, the Seahawks D, and Billy Cunt Diff. Now, last time we saw Billy Cunt Diff, especially in a meaningful game, it was in the playoffs last year. And I think we all know that when he kicked that field goal, it was wide suck, which means he missed like a 20-yard field goal. Honestly, I could probably sneeze and get the ball through the uprights at that point, but that's just me. I don't know. I'm overconfident. It's probably my, best feature. There we go. Matty Ice, 28 points. Only issue with Matty Ice is his name. Who the fuck names themselves after the shittiest beer ever invented? He got you 28 points, though. I don't blame you for having him on your team. In the next matchup, much closer, we had the other brother Greg with Brad versus roommate Danny Clemens. Hey, buddy, what's up? Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk later. I'll get that Mick Ultra from you some other point. All right, cool. All right, but again, very close matchup. 96 points by Brad, 101 for Danny. Danny pulled that out at the end. Brad, you had 32 from Cam Newton, but Darren McFadden, Andre Johnson, Denarius Moore, Vernon Davis, Steven Gostowski, all under 10 points. It's not going to get it done, especially when you have players like Darren McFadden, who really, they have the potential to do well. He's had some injury issues, but keep going with it, man. I know you'll get there eventually. Danny, Tom Brady, his back must hurt because he carried your team. Tom Brady decided to show up with 35 points. Maurice Jones-Drew only had 7, and he had 6 players in single digits. Maurice Jones-Drew scored 7 points, and you still scored 101. What the fuck? That's awesome. And I gotta say, with Tom Brady, if he's back, and he's definitely gonna be kicking ass and taking names. That's for sure. In the next matchup, J-Ball and Anthony. Again, another just epically close game. It all came down to the Monday night scenario. Probably the most dramatic game of the week. Anthony pulled that out, winning 106 to 101. But really, what led up to that was really how it came down to be such a close game. We had J-Ball. You had the Packers D with -3 points. Unfortunately, I believe sincerely that is the true Packers defense. I would love to see them do much better. -3 points, maybe not every week, but honestly, I feel like you could pull any random kid off the street and probably play better defense. I mean, honestly, if I were giving them a pep talk, I'd be like, what are you guys, a bunch of girls or something? Huh? You're playing like a bunch of girls, huh? I don't know. That's me. But the Packers defense, maybe we can upgrade there. Definitely fucked you over. You had RG3, Cruz, Brandon Marshall, Vincent Jackson, all scored really well. Came down to Monday night. You had Marshall and... You had Marshall. Anthony had Bears D and Miles Austin. And Anthony, Bears D had 5 picks for a 21-point showing, including 2 INT returns. Wow, that's fucking ridiculous. But that's what you got to do. It carried you all the way. I completely understand why you did it. Andy Dalton with 24 points also. He's a ginger, so I feel like that's kind of a strike against him, but, you know, you get to 24 points. That's all that really matters. You can always shave his hair or dye it a different color later. Don't worry. All right. In the very last matchup of last week, we had moi versus Zach from the Caroline Street Division. And unfortunately, Zach, this was just no lube, just raw dogging it. Not good. 143 to 104. I had 30 points from my boy and your boy, of course, A-Rod. We all know the real A-Rod, who he is. 25 points from the Texans D and 22 points from Michael Turner. When you got the defense scoring 25 points, that's going to be tough to overcome. And Michael Turner, he drives really fast to the games. I don't know if that's because of the alcohol or how that works. Or he could have been sloshed during the game. I don't know. Maybe you should get sloshed more often if that's the case. Zach, you had Manning with 88 points. Wow, that'd be ridiculous. 28 points. But unfortunately, Martellus Bennett was 0. The vaunted Eagles defense. That's a shout out to Brad and Tom there. Vaunted Eagles defense with their offensive line coach from 2 years ago getting hired as the defensive coordinator. That makes a lot of sense. But they were able to shut down Martellus all day, and I pulled out the victory. Unfortunately, it was Packer fan on Packer fan crime. Can't do anything about that, Zach. It's just the nature of the business. That's why they pay me the big bucks. All right, in this week's games, we've got Chef Boyardee versus Sharp, and of course, I'm Sharp. Chef Boyardee is our boy Anthony. He named his team the Galway Meatballs. And I still don't even know what ethnicity you really are. What, Swedish? Kenyan? I really don't know. I mean, the meatball thing, it seems like a little much, but I don't know. Like Swedish meatballs look great. I didn't try any, but I went to Europe over the summer. That's why I said that. But at the same point, you got to give us a hint a little bit. It's pretty confusing. Just send out like a group email or something. Kenyan, Swedish, British, Canadian, whatever you'd really think. But just let us know. It'd be nice, man. Anthony's a 26-point favorite. I'm going to get annihilated. Anthony has definitely been playing really well, and his team's been solid all along. I think that's going to be a trend that we're going to see continuing. In the next interdivisional battle, we've got Zach in the Caroline Street Division versus Tom. Tom's a 14-point favorite. Tom has the advantage in every category. Of course, that's why they play the games, so we can see how that actually turns out. But Tom, honestly, if the way you spell your name is any indication, 3 G's in Greg, that's a 60% G ratio in your last name. You know what that means, right? G unit, which means you are going to absolutely destroy Zach. And Zach, I'm hoping you don't get destroyed, especially you got my boy Centric Benson. We all know he's a badass motherfucker. But at the same point, I think it's going to be a tough battle for you. We'll see what happens. Next, we've got Sheck versus Brad. Sheck is a 44-point favorite. Wow. Sheck, I hope that turns out at least better for you than last week, because last week, your flying squirrels, unfortunately, they flew into that power transformer and were absolutely electrocuted by Tom's team. But against Brad, maybe it'll be a little bit different. ESPN has it one way. I'm thinking it's going to be closer than that. I don't know. Don't get too cocky. But 44 points, at least you got the leg up, at least at first. In the very last matchup, we have Danny versus J-Ball. Danny, you're an 8-point favorite. I mean, it's definitely, you've had close matchups at least a couple times recently. But I think this one's definitely going to be tough. That being said, though, J-Ball, it's been a rough season for you, buddy. 0-4 so far, same record as the Saints, which doesn't really mean much since the Saints usually do better than that. But as someone who's seen the Detroit Lions go 0-16, I don't want to say your name in the same sentence that I say Detroit Lions, because that just isn't what success is about. Actually, I'm sorry. It's getting a little bit hot in here. I have to change. I'm sorry again. All right. Much better. Well, that's really the recap and the season. I keep saying that. Not season. The week preview for this next week coming up. Remember, guys, we got the buys going. And if I just want to whip out some money, I'm gonna bet one. See it right there, George Washington, that at least 4 teams will win this week, and at least 4 teams will lose. Just a guess. Maybe it's extreme, maybe not. This dollar's up for grabs. If anyone wants to take my bet, let me know. All right, Big Dick Bandits out. This is Sharp. I'm sure this has been an awkward video. Please enjoy.